What's up, guys? Crypto Muser here with your daily news and analysis in the crypto markets. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested late last night in the Bahamas. He is getting extradited to the U.S., I believe, sometime this morning or later this afternoon. Finally, we got it. He was supposed to testify before Congress, I think either today or tomorrow. So it's kind of, the timing's pretty, I'd say it's pretty weird, the timing, because you'd think that they'd wait maybe for him to testify, because I'm sure he would have gave himself up basically before Congress. But it's kind of, it makes you think a little bit. Why would they arrest him right before he was supposed to testify in Congress? Are they protecting him? The conspiracy theorists are definitely going to be out and about all that. But, it is a good thing for sure that he's arrested now. It's been, 2-3 weeks since this whole thing went down. Everybody was wondering why he wasn't arrested yet. But James Filan, actually, if you guys follow him, a great follow on Twitter. He's been a great lawyer following during this SEC Ripple case. But he said something a couple days ago that I really paid attention to. He said that, don't worry, this guy, he said piece of shit, basically, is going to get arrested sooner or later. The DOJ is just getting their, ducks in order, building their case, making sure it's bulletproof before they actually arrest him and file charges. So he has, I think it's something like 20 charges against him, ranging from wire fraud to money laundering to securities fraud. He's going to jail for a long time, guys. It's looking like anywhere from 20 to, life in prison for this guy. At the end of this, you'll really realize, we'll realize how corrupt our justice system actually is. If he actually gets away with some of this, right? If he actually gets, a slap on the wrist, and that might be because he, this could be unbelievable actually by the end of this, because he could know a lot more than we know, right? There could be this rabbit hole that this case goes down. We could see some other actors that we didn't even know were involved in this, right? So it's a huge case for crypto. Also, it's just a huge case for the total markets, because they weren't just involved in the crypto markets. Yeah, they were using FTX, a crypto exchange, as their piggy bank basically, but they were sending that money, user money, to Alameda Capital, and they were betting on the stock market and other high leverage bets. So this has to do with the whole markets. This has to do with fraud. This has to do with money laundering. This has to do with a lot of criminal behavior from this man. And like I said, who else was involved in this? Kevin O'Leary. I don't want to say anything, but he was, it is fishy that he was still trying to say that that Sam Bankman-Fried was a good guy and he'd actually still go into business with him if he had a good idea. So you got to think that he knows something, right? He's trying to make himself look like he's, an innocent investor that lost money too. But, all I'm saying, I'm not naming names. I'm just saying that there could be a lot more information coming out of this before this is all over. But he is arrested. Well, we should clap our hands for that one, because I was sick and tired of him going around on these Twitter spaces, saying I'm sorry, saying and I heard he was playing video games through all these interviews, and he just didn't. You could tell that he didn't understand the real, the big deal behind this, right? He was just acting like it wasn't that big a deal. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll get the money back for you guys. Like he didn't lose billions of dollars of investor money. All right. It was just painful to watch him go around these Twitter spaces apologizing and sounding, oh, I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. Oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. Bullshit. I called the bullshit. Most people call it the bullshit. He is arrested now. He is going to jail for a very long time, unless he's a rat, which he probably is, but we'll see more about that. But let's get into this. Forbes came out this morning. U.S. charges Sam Bankman-Fried with 8 criminal counts, including wire fraud and campaign finance violations. That's another campaign finance violations, because he was, that's another thing we're going to find out. How many campaign donations did he actually give out? He said that he gave money to dark money to Republicans too. We'll see if that's even true, right? We don't know what's true at this point, right? So next here, Becky Quick tweeted this out. If you haven't seen the Sam Bankman-Fried complaint from the SEC, here are some of the juiciest parts. Now, I'll just read this quick thing, because this is basically explains in layman's terms what FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried were doing. As a result, there was no meaningful distinction between FTX customer funds and Alameda's own funds. Alameda Capital was their sister, basically a hedge fund that was this is how messed up this was. This is how, I'm going to get into it later on in this video, but how did the SEC not see this coming? You have an FTX exchange, right? And then you have a sister company, Alameda Capital, which is a hedge fund basically, right? And basically Alameda was a market maker for FTX. I mean, red flags everywhere in all this. And it's amazing that, like I said, I'll get into it later in the video, but how the SEC did not see this coming and that they were having meetings with FTX during all this. I mean, like I said, I'll get into it later on about how I feel Gary Gensler, how he's involved in all this. But anyway, continuing on. Bankman Fried thus gave Alameda carte blanche to use FTX customer assets for its own trading operations and for whatever other purposes Bankman Fried saw fit. In essence, Bankman Fried placed billions of dollars of FTX customer funds into Alameda. He then used Alameda as his personal piggy bank to buy luxury condominiums, support political campaigns, and make private investments, among other uses. None of this was disclosed to FTX equity investors or to the platform's trading customers. So he was basically using user money and investor money as his own private piggy bank with Alameda Capital and making risky bets, buying condominiums down in the Bahamas for employees, just doing whatever he wants, making campaign donations to Biden and all these other Democrats. And it's just unbelievable that this was going on and no one saw any red flags. That's why I say SEC has this is the funny, this is the SEC's complaint against FTX. Meanwhile, the SEC let this all happen under their nose while they were having meetings with them. I mean, give me a break, right? So the next year, Bitcoin Magazine tweeted out, breaking, Sam Bankman-Fried is facing 8 charges, which could total up to 165 years in prison. Unsealed indictments shows. I mean, if he doesn't go to jail for at least 20 years, then the justice system is broken. And like I said, he's either that or he's ratting on, the other big partners that were involved in this, right? You got to think that Caroline Ellison is probably the one that ratted out Sam, right? We saw a video, or I think it was just a picture of Caroline in New York City getting a coffee. So she seemed like she was doing okay. She definitely probably ratted him out. And now we have Sam here, and who's he going to rat out, right? How far, how intertwined does this go into who actually was involved in all this money laundering and fraud, right? So then Peter Schiff, who I disagree most of the time, but he had this good tweet here. From a tactical perspective, I don't understand why the U.S. government didn't wait until SBF testified under oath before Congress tomorrow before charging him with the crime. Prosecutors actually did SBF a favor by saving him from himself. And that's very true. That's why I said in the beginning of the video, it was kind of weird, the timing, because they arrested him the day before he's set to be interviewed by Congress, right? You'd think that they wait for him to basically, in the way he was talking in all these Twitter spaces and all these interviews, he basically was giving himself up. I mean, he was in this last one Twitter space I saw yesterday, he basically admitted that he, stole user money and was using it in Alameda. Like, he was admitting to the fraud. So you'd think that they would have waited for him to basically give himself up in front of Congress. So the timing is very, very interesting. And, Peter Schiff saying that, it looks like the U.S. government kind of saved him from himself, which is, like I said, that's red flags, right? You got to just think there's got to be a reason behind all this, right? So I guess we'll find out soon enough. Tom Emmer, one of my favorite congressmen out there, very, very pro-crypto. So Gary Gensler knows that FTX was fraudulent from the inception. So this is where it gets into how Gary Gensler fits into all this, right? So if he knew from the inception, this is what, let's read what it says here in the bank's, the legal document here. From the inception of FTX, Bankman Fried diverted FTX customer funds to Alameda, and he continued to do so until FTX collapsed in 2022, November 2022. So the thing here is that if SEC knew that it was fraudulent from day one, how are they having meetings with them and they weren't doing anything? They were going after Ripple, going after Library, going after Kim Kardashian. And meanwhile, supposedly they knew that this was fraudulent from day one, and they were having private meetings with them. They were letting them basically do this under their nose. And now they're saying, oh, we knew the whole time that they were probably fraudulent, but we just let it happen. I mean, who are you guys protecting? Who is the SEC protecting? Obviously not investors, right? So Tom Emmer says, this is egregious considering he had more meetings with Bankman Fried than anyone else in the space to discuss a crypto regulatory framework designed to benefit FTX alone. He will be held accountable. Now, you better hope he's held accountable. I mean, I know that since the Republicans took over the House, that we're going to have a lot more congressional hearings about this. So you better believe that, or you better hope that these congressmen hold Gary Gensler's feet to the fire here. I mean, this has to end, right? How long are we going to let this government official, Gary Gensler, just hurt investors? Look we had Celsius, we had Three Arrows Capital, we had Luna, we had so many, BlockFi. Now we have FTX, all under the SEC's nose. They were having meetings with these guys, and billions of dollars in fraud was committed, and millions of investors were hurt. How is this guy good at his job? How is this guy allowed to keep his job? It makes no sense. He better be, at least, if he's not fired, he better be resign or forced to resign at the end of all this. And I hope Tom Emmer puts his money where his mouth is and actually, he's been talking a big game for a while. I do respect him a lot. He has been a fighter for crypto within Congress. But, when they have these hearings, I hope he really, like I said, puts his money where his mouth is and does the right thing. So moving on. So Stefan Huber, who's a great follow on Twitter, great Twitter sleuth out there. Of course, Gary knew. What did he expect, or what did you expect? After all, he announced exactly what his attorney at the CFTC was a senior counsel for FTX, and partner with Jay Clayton at Sullivan Cromwell. Now listen to this real quick. This is a video that Gary Gensler put out a couple weeks ago.
That would never fly. Thus, I've asked staff how to work with platforms to best ensure your assets are protected. And unlike traditional security exchanges, crypto trading platforms also may act as market makers. It means that when you sell your tokens, one of the platforms may actually be buying on the other side. Stock exchanges don't do this. They don't serve as their own market makers because that creates inherent conflicts of interest. Thus, again, I've asked staff to consider whether it would be appropriate to segregate out the market-making functions on these crypto platforms. Look, there's no reason to treat the crypto market differently just because a different technology is used. That would be like saying drivers of electric cars don't need seatbelts because they don't use gas.
Whatever. It was a stupid analogy at the end there, but what he said there was basically what FTX was doing. We don't, Alameda Capital was the market maker buying the crypto back from FTX, right? He just said, this is the thing we have to stop, right? Meanwhile, he's letting it happen. He knows it's happening, and he does nothing about it. And like I said, he's going after Ripple, who committed no fraud, going after Library, committed no fraud, hurt no investors. It just makes no sense. He's putting this video out there saying that he wants to stop this thing, but meanwhile, he's letting it happen right underneath his nose, and he knows it's happening. I mean, you can't make this shit up, guys. Ugh, painful to watch. It gets even deeper with the SEC and Gary Gensler. So Eleanor Tourette, great reporter at Fox Business, tweeted this out yesterday. Great reporting by my colleague Thomas Catanacci, great Italian name. Gary Gensler has two calendars. The public one, and an SEC spokesperson admits to only updating from time to time, leaves off meetings with key Democrats, George Soros and Hilary Clinton. So he had a private calendar. He was meeting with George Soros and Hilary Clinton, and she says, who and what else? And now look at this. So this is from Fox News. He had a private meeting with George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi. There are a bunch of other names too. I forget here. Let's see who else they name. I don't get, but there's a bunch. So he had basically, the gist of this is he has a private calendar meeting with all these other people. On this private calendar, who else is he meeting with? This opens the questions. Was he having more meetings with FTX? Was he meeting with FTX? I know he has connections to FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried's parents. I mean, but government officials need to be held accountable. They can't be having private. You can't. If you want to be a government official, everything has to be public. I think the last 3 months or 4 months of Gary Gensler's calendar has been missing. And now we know that he has a private calendar. I mean, these questions need to be answered. And like I said, when he gets held before Congress in these hearings, these questions better be answered. He can't just be, we've seen Gary Gensler before in these hearings just, jumble around these questions and answer nothing. They better really get him to answer these questions, because this is, government officials can't get away with these things. This is corruption to its core, and we can't let it happen. And we hope, right, that these government officials hold this guy accountable. J.W. Barrett, one of the great securities lawyers out there. He was actually a SEC, what was he, I think it was just like someone that worked for the SEC as a consultant for many years. And now he's been kind of going after the SEC since he left as a consultant. But he said, "Good morning to everyone except members of Congress who plan to hold hearings about FTX to ignorantly cast aspersions? To ignorantly cast aspersions? Aspersion? Am I saying that right? I can't friggin' read. Basically, he's saying, good morning to everyone except for the congressmen that are going to use this FTX debacle to go after crypto. And this has nothing to do with crypto. This has to do with a fraudulent actor, a criminal, in Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX using user funds, stealing money basically, and using it to do whatever they want. Like I said, they said earlier, as his private piggy bank. I mean, this is what it's all about. So if these congressmen go out there and say, this is why we need to come hard against crypto. You heard Elizabeth Warren a couple weeks ago say that. This is why we need to go hard regulation against crypto. Look what this is. This has nothing to do with crypto. And then we found out that maybe that the Luna and Celsius and a lot of these other things that happened earlier in the year were done from FTX and SBF. So if this is the main thing here, and if FTX and SBF sabotage the crypto industry to let these Congress people and regulators go after crypto, then this is even bigger than we thought, right? We knew that they wanted to come after crypto hard. We knew that that's what the SEC was doing by going after Ripple and Library and trying to basically, hurt innovation in this country. If they used FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried to, cast a shadow over crypto, and then later on they say this is the reason why we need to come hard, with hard regulation against crypto, then this is all BS, right? They don't want the big banks and the corporations. They don't like crypto. They don't like the fact that this is a grassroots movement, and the people that usually what other asset class starts with the grassroots? It never happens that way, guys. For hundreds of years, it was always the elites that start an asset class, and then they dribble off a couple drops to the ordinary people. This is the opposite with crypto. This is a grassroots movement, basically, where everyday people get involved in this first, and then you see the bankers and the big asset managers and institutions trying to get in later. So you got to believe that they're trying to crash this market so they can get in low, get in the bottom, and then build it back up and make millions of dollars. Right? That's what they're trying to do. And by casting this shadow that FTX and SBF are doing right now, then it's making them be like, these private, centralized exchanges can't be done. It can't be done like this. They're just going to commit fraud. So you need to let us do this, right? We've been doing this for years. We've been, us bankers, we know how to use these exchanges. Let us do it, and then we'll do it the right way, right? That's what they're going to try to do. So J.W. Barrett, shout out to him, because he's actually has a group. I forget. Does he say it next thing? Hold on. Yeah. So he has a crypto freedom lab. So SBF should be charged with fraud and with embezzlement. But if DOJ adds a lazy money laundering charge just for using privacy tools, or claims selling tokens alone is fraud, my crypto freedom lab will jump in to defend the right to develop and use crypto. So this is why I love JW here. He's going to be working from inside the system, because he is inside the system, as a securities lawyer, and he's been, like I said, he worked with the SEC. He will fight this whole argument that this has something to do with crypto in it, that crypto is bad, inherently bad, because there's bad actors in crypto. So shout out to JW. Huge follow on Twitter. Definitely need to follow this. I think it's either a website or just a group, the Crypto Lab, Crypto Freedom Lab. Definitely gotta follow them. Give them as much support as possible, guys, because this is how. The only way we do this. I know we are a grassroots movement, but we have to find people within the system to help us. And this is one of those guys. Tom Emmer within Congress, and then JW as a lawyer, a securities lawyer within the system. Because within the system is the only way we can actually, to inherently get change done in this country. And guys, I know it's a tough time in crypto right now, but things will change. This is kind of a good thing, honestly, in the end, because you're kind of getting the bad actors out. You're getting the bad, we're cleaning out the system, basically, right? In the last bull run was a lot of pump and dumps, a lot of just fraudulent scams, basically, in the last bull run. I know a lot of people have made a lot of money. A lot of people lost a lot of money because there were just so many scams, so many pump and dumps. These meme coins, all this NFTs that were it was just fraudulent. It was basically a bunch of gambling, and the winners basically were hedge funds and bad actors. So this is a good way to clean the system out. And I'm telling you guys, if you get into the right projects, I'm not going to, obviously not financial advice, but if you do the right due diligence and right research and get into the right projects, I promise you guys, this, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is the future. And if you just like I said, do your research and get into the right projects, you will be, rewarded for your patience in this market, because it has been a crazy year, to say the least. And I've been in this crypto market for at least 5-6 years now, and this has been the craziest times I've seen. I went through Mt. Gox and all that stuff back in 2017, and this is way worse, just because this is institutional wise and hedge funds just coming in and trying to basically make this market look worse than it is. It's a sad thing to see, but like I said, it's cleaning out the system. It's only going to make crypto stronger, and like I said, this is definitely the future of finance. So, if you guys are in this, you're in the right place. So don't be scared. Don't let fear. This is what they do. They use fear to try to scare you out of this market. Don't let them win. I will say that, but I will end the video there, guys. Remember, this is not financial advice. Please do not take anything I write or say as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And thanks, guys. And we will see you on the next one. Peace, guys.